Sarah was a woman with a heart as big as the sky. She loved to help others and always had a kind word for everyone. But deep inside, Sarah longed for something more, a child of her own. She imagined reading bedtime stories, teaching someone to ride a bike, and sharing countless giggles. As the years went by, Sarah often found herself dreaming of a little hand to hold, a small voice calling her name. She knew many people had partners to start families with, but Sarah was on her own. This didn't stop her dreams, though. Instead, her thoughts often turned to adoption. She would picture a child who needed a home, a child she could give all her love to. The idea of adopting as a single parent, however, felt very big and sometimes a little scary. Could she truly do it all by herself? Could she give a child everything they needed and deserved? Every night, before she closed her eyes, Sarah would imagine a small face, wondering who that child might be. She would think about how wonderful it would be to share her quiet home with the happy sounds of a child playing. Sometimes, she would even hum lullabies she remembered from her own childhood, picturing herself rocking a baby to sleep. The dream was strong, a warm glow in her heart, but the path to making it real felt like a winding road she had to walk alone. Still, the thought of giving a child a loving family kept her hope bright. Even with her heart full of dreams, a small, cold knot of worry often tightened in Sarah's stomach. She would sit in her quiet living room, looking at the empty chair beside her, and doubts would creep in like shadows at dusk. "Can I really do this alone?" she'd whisper to herself. The thought of being the only one to comfort a crying child, the only one to teach them right from wrong, felt like a very heavy weight. She worried about everything. What if the child got sick in the middle of the night? Who would she call for help? What if they needed two parents for school plays or sports games? Would her child feel different or sad because they only had one parent? Sarah pictured herself trying to juggle work, housework, and all the endless needs of a growing child. It seemed like a mountain too tall to climb alone. Sometimes, she'd see families in the park, a mom and a dad playing with their kids, and a pang of sadness would hit her. She wanted that joy, that love, but she questioned if she could create a complete and happy world for a child all by herself. These fears made her pause. She truly wanted to be a good parent, the best parent, but the idea of facing all the challenges without a partner made her hesitate. The dream was still there, shining brightly, but now it was surrounded by a cloud of what-ifs. One morning, after a long night of battling her fears, Sarah decided to take a brave step. The what-ifs were still there, but so was the deep longing for a child. She searched online and found the name of a local adoption agency. Taking a deep breath, she called and made an appointment. The day of her visit, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and nerves. The agency building was bright and welcoming, not at all like the cold, scary place she had imagined. A kind lady with a warm smile, named Mrs. Davis, greeted her. Mrs. Davis led Sarah to a cozy office with soft chairs and colorful drawings on the walls. "It's brave of you to come in, Sarah," Mrs. Davis said gently. Many people feel a little overwhelmed when they first think about adoption, especially as a single parent. Her words made Sarah feel seen and understood. Sarah explained her dreams and her worries. Mrs. Davis listened with great care, nodding sometimes, and offering a comforting smile. Then, Mrs. Davis began to tell Sarah about the children. She spoke of little ones who needed a safe place to grow, older kids who longed for someone to share their stories with, and siblings who wished to stay together. She didn't just list facts. She spoke about their personalities, their hopes, and their need for a loving family. She showed Sarah binders filled with photos, each face a tiny plea for a chance at happiness. As Mrs. Davis talked, a new feeling began to bubble up in Sarah's chest, a feeling of hope, brighter than any fear. Mrs. Davis gently slid a thick binder across the table. "These are just a few of the children waiting," she explained. Sarah's hand trembled a little as she opened the cover. Inside, pages were filled with smiling faces, some shy, some playful, all looking for a place to belong. Sarah looked at each photo carefully, her heart feeling a pull for every child. There were tiny babies wrapped in blankets, school-aged children with missing front teeth, and teenagers who looked a little uncertain but hopeful. She turned page after page, each one a story waiting to unfold. Then, her eyes landed on one particular picture. It was a little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old, with hair the color of warm honey. But it was her eyes that truly captured Sarah. They were big and bright, sparkling with a mix of curiosity and a tiny hint of sadness. They seemed to look right into Sarah's soul. "Who is this little one?" Sarah asked, her voice a little softer than usual. Mrs. Davis smiled. "That's Lily," she said. "She's a sweet girl, full of imagination. She loves to draw and tell stories." As Mrs. Davis spoke, Sarah felt an unexpected warmth spread through her chest. It was as if Lily's bright eyes were calling to her, telling her a secret story only she could hear. Sarah couldn't take her eyes off the picture. There was something about Lily, something special, that made all of Sarah's fears quiet down, just for a moment. In that instant, it felt like a tiny spark of destiny had just flickered to life. With Lily's picture still held gently in her hand, Sarah asked Mrs. Davis to tell her more. Mrs. Davis's smile softened as she began to share Lily's story. Lily was indeed a sweet girl, but her early years had been difficult. She had moved between different temporary homes, never staying in one place for very long. This meant she hadn't always had the steady love and care that young children need to feel safe and happy. "Lily is a very strong and imaginative child," Mrs. Davis explained, "but because of her past, she sometimes finds it hard to trust new people. She might need extra time to feel comfortable and to know that she is truly safe and loved." Sarah listened carefully, her heart aching a little for the brave little girl who had already faced so much. She understood that Lily wouldn't just need a home. She would need a lot of patience, deep understanding, and a constant flow of gentle love. This information didn't scare Sarah away. Instead, it made her feel an even stronger pull towards Lily. She imagined how wonderful it would be to be the person who finally gave Lily a forever home, a place where she could finally feel secure and truly blossom. Sarah knew it wouldn't always be easy. There would be days when Lily might be sad or confused, but Sarah felt ready to face those challenges. The thought of helping Lily heal and grow filled Sarah with a powerful sense of purpose. She wanted to be the one to show Lily that the world could be a kind and loving place. After her talk with Mrs. Davis, Sarah felt a strong resolve to adopt Lily, but the old worries still tried to whisper in her ear. She decided to talk to the people closest to her. First, she called her best friend, Emily. "I'm thinking of adopting a little girl named Lily," Sarah began, her voice a mix of excitement and nerves, "but I'm scared about doing it alone." Emily didn't hesitate. "Sarah, you are the most loving and patient person I know," she exclaimed. "You'll be an amazing mom. And you won't be alone. I'm here. We're all here." Then, Sarah spoke to her older sister, Clara, and her brother, Tom. Clara, a mom of 2, listened carefully. "It's natural to be scared, Sarah," she said. "But you have so much love to give. And remember, family helps family. We'll be your village. We can babysit, help with school runs sometimes, or just bring over dinner when you're tired." Tom, usually quiet, nodded firmly. "You're strong, Sarah. You've always been strong. You can do this." Their words were like warm blankets wrapped around her heart. She hadn't realized how much she needed to hear that. Her friends and family reminded her that even though she was a single parent, she wasn't truly alone. She had a whole team of people who believed in her and were ready to lend a hand. Their support chased away many of the lingering doubts, making her feel much lighter and more confident. She truly felt she could do it. With the loving words of her friends and family echoing in her ears, Sarah felt a surge of courage. The path ahead still seemed big, but it no longer felt impossible. She called Mrs. Davis at the adoption agency. "I want to move forward with Lily," Sarah said, her voice clear and steady. A wave of happiness washed over her, bright and warm, like sunshine after a long rain. This was it. Her dream was finally becoming real. The paperwork and meetings that followed took many weeks, but Sarah tackled each step with determination. She filled out forms, met with social workers, and prepared her home for Lily's arrival. She bought a small bed with a cozy quilt, picked out colorful books, and even found a cuddly teddy bear with soft fur. Each item she chose made her heart swell with excitement. Even though she was happy, a tiny flutter of nerves still danced in her stomach. It was the kind of nervousness you feel before a big, wonderful adventure. What if I forget something important, she wondered. What if Lily doesn't like the teddy bear? These were small worries compared to her earlier fears, but they were still there. Yet underneath it all was a deep, unwavering joy. She was going to be a mom, and Lily was going to be her daughter. The thought filled her with a hopeful anticipation that made her smile. Even when she was a little bit scared, she was ready. The day Lily arrived was sunny and bright, but a quiet tension filled Sarah's home. Lily, a small figure clutching a worn teddy bear, stepped through the door. Her bright eyes, which had captivated Sarah in the photo, now looked a little scared and wary. She didn't smile much, mostly staying close to Mrs. Davis, who had brought her. Sarah tried her best to make Lily feel welcome. She showed her the cozy bedroom, the colorful books, and the new toys. Lily nodded politely but didn't touch anything. She sat quietly on the edge of her new bed, her small hands clasped in her lap. Sarah understood that Lily had been through a lot and needed time. She remembered Mrs. Davis's words about Lily finding it hard to trust. The first few days were a bit like two shy strangers trying to learn a new dance. Sarah would ask Lily questions, and Lily would answer in soft, short sentences. Meals were quiet, and playtime felt a little forced. Lily would often retreat to her room, drawing pictures by herself. Sarah sometimes felt a pang of worry. Was she doing something wrong? Was Lily unhappy? She tried to be patient, offering gentle hugs and reassuring smiles, but it was hard not to feel a little discouraged. Getting to know each other was taking time, more time than Sarah had first imagined. It was a learning curve for both of them, full of quiet moments and unspoken feelings. Days slowly turned into weeks. Sarah continued to be patient and kind, always making sure Lily felt safe, even when the silence stretched long between them. One sunny afternoon, while Sarah was reading in the living room, Lily sat at the kitchen table with her crayons and paper. Sarah watched her, a quiet hope stirring in her chest. Lily was deeply focused, her small brow furrowed in concentration. After a while, Lily walked over to Sarah, holding out a piece of paper. "For you," she mumbled, her eyes looking down at her shoes. Sarah took the drawing gently. It was a picture in bright, happy colors. There was a big, smiling sun in the corner, a greenhouse with a red door, and two stick figures. One figure was tall, with long brown hair, and the other was small, with honey-colored hair. Their hands were joined together. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was them. It was her and Lily, holding hands. The tall figure even had a little heart drawn on its chest. A wave of warmth, stronger and sweeter than any she had felt before, spread through Sarah's entire body. It wasn't a perfect drawing, but it was perfect to her. It was a sign, a little message from Lily's heart, saying that she was starting to feel at home, starting to trust. "Oh, Lily!" Sarah whispered, her eyes a little misty. "It's beautiful. Thank you." She hugged the drawing close to her chest. Lily looked up, a tiny, shy smile touching her lips. In that moment, Sarah knew that all the patience, all the worries were worth it. This small, precious gift was the beginning of their new, loving family. After the heartwarming drawing, a change began to bloom in Lily. Her smiles grew wider, her steps a little bouncier. Sarah suggested they go to the park, a place Lily hadn't wanted to visit before. This time, Lily's eyes lit up with excitement. Hand in hand, they walked to the nearby park. The sun was shining, and the air was filled with the happy sounds of children playing. Lily's grip on Sarah's hand was firm. A small, trusting connection. When they reached the swings, Lily pointed excitedly. "Can I go really high?" she asked, her voice full of eagerness. Sarah smiled, pushing Lily gently. Higher and higher Lily went, her honey-colored hair flying in the breeze. And then, a sound that made Sarah's heart leap. A clear, joyful, booming laugh. It wasn't the shy giggle Sarah had heard before, but a full, unrestrained sound of pure happiness. Lily's face was alight with joy, her bright eyes sparkling as she swung towards the sky. As Sarah pushed, listening to Lily's delightful laughter, a powerful rush of love washed over her. It was a feeling so big and full, it almost took her breath away. All the worries about being a single parent, all the doubts about her ability, melted away like snow in the sun. Seeing Lily so utterly happy, so free, filled Sarah with a certainty she hadn't felt before. This was what it meant to be a parent. This beautiful, inclusive love was more than enough. It was perfect. Lily's laughter at the park was just the beginning. She started school a few weeks later, a new adventure for both of them. Sarah still had her moments of worry, wondering how Lily would fit in, especially after her difficult past. But Lily, buoyed by the stable love at home, was blossoming. One afternoon, Sarah went to Lily's school for a parent-teacher meeting. She sat down with Mrs. Green, Lily's kind, first-grade teacher. "I wanted to tell you how wonderfully Lily is doing," Mrs. Green began, a warm smile on her face. "When she first started, she was very quiet, but now she's participating so much more. She loves story time, and her drawings are simply amazing." Mrs. Green continued, "She's making friends, learning her letters, and always has a curious question to ask. She's really thriving, Sarah. You've created such a supportive home for her." Hearing these words, Sarah felt a wave of powerful pride wash over her. It wasn't just a small, happy feeling. It was a deep, chest-swelling sense of accomplishment and joy. This was proof, not just for others, but for herself. All the love, patience, and effort she had poured into Lily was making a real difference. Lily was growing, learning, and becoming a happy, confident child. Sarah realized that being a single parent didn't mean she couldn't give Lily everything she needed. She was doing it. And she felt incredibly proud of both Lily and herself. After the parent-teacher meeting, Sarah walked home with a light step, a joyful song in her heart. The worries that had once weighed her down, the what-ifs and "can I do this alone?" questions, seemed to have finally floated away. They were replaced by a quiet, steady knowing. She watched Lily skip ahead, chasing after a butterfly, and a profound realization settled over her. It wasn't about having two parents, or a perfect family structure, or having all the answers. It was about love. Pure, simple, unwavering love. That was the magic ingredient. That was what had helped Lily open up, laugh freely, and thrive in school. Sarah saw in Lily's bright eyes, in her confident smile, and in the way she now reached for Sarah's hand without a second thought. The fears of nighttime sickness or school events no longer seemed so daunting. She knew she had her friends and family for support, And more importantly, she knew she had enough love within herself to overcome anything. Their family might look different from others, but it was full. It was whole. Sarah smiled, taking a deep breath of the fresh air. Her journey had been one of doubt and uncertainty, but it had led her to this beautiful, clear truth. Love was all they truly needed, and they had an abundance of it. Her heart, once heavy with questions, was now light and overflowing with inclusive love for her daughter Lily. With her heart full and her worries gone, Sarah cherished every moment with Lily. They began to build new traditions, creating happy memories together. One afternoon, Lily asked, "Can we make cookies, Mama?" Sarah's heart warmed at the sound of Mama, a word Lily now used freely. "Of course, sweet pea," Sarah replied, pulling out flour, sugar, and chocolate chips. They tied on their aprons, Lily's a little too big, and reaching her knees. Sarah carefully measured the ingredients, explaining each step. Lily, eager to help, was in charge of stirring. As she mixed, Lily got a little too excited. The spoon slipped from her grasp, sending a cloud of flour puffing into the air. It settled like soft snow on the countertop, on Lily's nose, and even a little on Sarah's hair. For a moment, Lily froze, her eyes wide with worry, expecting to be scolded. But Sarah didn't frown. Instead, a little chuckle escaped her lips, quickly turning into a full, hearty laugh. "Oh, Lilybug," she giggled, wiping flour from Lily's cheek. Lily looked up, a small smile appearing, then a giggle of her own bubbled up. Soon both of them were laughing, flour-dusted and happy, surrounded by the sweet scent of cookie dough and the pure joy of their shared mess. The cookies might not have been perfect, but the moment was. It was another simple, beautiful reminder that their home was now truly filled with love and laughter. As the day wound down, filled with the sweet scent of fresh cookies and the lingering echoes of laughter, it was time for Lily's favorite part of the evening, bedtime stories. Lily, bathed and cozy in her pajamas, snuggled under her quilt, her bright eyes wide with anticipation. Sarah sat on the edge of the bed, a colorful storybook open in her hands. She began to read in a soft, gentle voice, telling tales of brave knights and magical forests. As the story unfolded, Lily slowly moved closer, her small head resting against Sarah's arm. Her breathing became even and peaceful, a sign of her deep comfort and trust. Sarah paused, looking down at the little girl beside her. Lily's eyelids were heavy, but she was still listening, completely at ease. In that quiet moment, with Lily snuggled close, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of peace and rightness. All the fears she had once carried, all the doubts about being a single parent, seemed like a distant dream. There was no room for what ifs or could I do this alone in the warmth of Lily's presence. Looking at Lily, so secure and loved, Sarah knew, with every fiber of her being, that she had made the absolute right choice. This was her family, full of love, laughter, and quiet snuggles. It was perfect, just the way it was. The journey had been long, but the destination, this moment, was more beautiful than she could have ever imagined. As days turned into months, Sarah looked around her home, now always filled with Lily's joyful chatter, her colorful drawings taped to the fridge, and the comforting presence of a child's toys. The journey from fearful doubts to this abundant happiness had been a quiet, beautiful miracle. Sarah often thought back to the lonely woman who had once wondered if she could ever be a good parent all by herself. That woman felt like a stranger now. She understood that family wasn't about fitting a certain picture. It wasn't about having a mom and a dad, or a big house, or endless money. It was about connection, kindness, and a love that grew stronger, with every shared giggle, every comforting hug, and every bedtime story. Their family, just the two of them, was special. It was unique, and it was overflowing, with a love that felt bigger than the whole world. Lily was not just a child Sarah had adopted. She was her daughter, her heart, her greatest joy. And Sarah was not just a single parent, she was a mom, a provider of endless love, a builder of dreams. The subtle wonders of Lily's trusting hand, her booming laugh, and her shy smiles had turned all of Sarah's doubts into a clear, shining understanding. Their inclusive love, built on patience and deep care, was everything they needed. It was perfect.